Thank you for watching NMH at 1, where we take a look at the news making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports and economic news. In the news today, MPs label NSFAF CEO as dodgy. Cabinet tackles Tsumeb water situation. Snakebite victim refutes cheating rumours. I am Diana Master. Midday news update coming right up. The Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security has reported to Cabinet that 141,048 people have registered under the Harambee Prosperity Plan 2 to regularise their status. In response to the urgency of the matter, Cabinet has taken note of the progress made and approved in principle several bills. These bills aim to provide a legal framework to regularise the status of stateless and undocumented individuals. The Namibian Citizenship Amendment Bill, the Namibia Refugees Recognition and Control Amendment, the Regularization of Status and Certain Residents of Namibia and Their Descendants Bill, and the Statelessness Determination and Protection Bill have been referred to the Cabinet Committee on Legislation for further scrutiny. Remember to engage with these stories on our social media throughout the broadcast. Visual news coming up after the break.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 115.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Getting into today's visual news clips, after meeting with Windhoek Mayor Wapingena Joseph, today the Gumaman Traditional Authority has been asked to give the City of Windhoek 2 months to respond to grievances discussed in the City of Windhoek chambers behind closed doors. According to the Gumaman legal advisor Joro Eseb, the councillors said they were caught off guard and were ill-prepared. We are here to talk about our people that have been kicked out of Windhoek and sent to the Groot Alb area but are now also being chased away from there. We are sitting with these people in corridors. What should we do with them? He said during an interview. Wapingena could be seen storming out of the chambers as soon as it concluded. Elizabeth Joseph reports.
Ja, ek is senior tradisionele hoofman van die Gumaman tradisionele clan en die gemeenskap, Gumaman tradisionele gemeenskap, ja. Ons het bietjie vandag ongenoegen gehad met die city van Windhoek. Ja, omdat ons het nou vir die afgelopen 17 jaar probeer om oor ons mense en ons land en die grense wat die city uitgestrek het, oor plekke waar ons mense bly te praat. En meerendeels oor mense wie hulle uitzet uit Windhoek staat en dan meer vat na Groot Alb toe en nou ook bezig is om die mense daar te evict. En ons het ongenoegen daarvoor. Waar moet die mense gaan? Meerendeels ook die commerciële plaasboere is bezig om ons mense van hulle plase af uit te sit. En ons sit met daar die mense in corridors. Waar moet ons die mense vat? As die city dan haar grense so uitgestrek het, oral waar ons mense is in die streek. En ons kan nie ons mense meer daar plaas nie. Dit is die ongenoegen waarvoor ons dan hier was, om dit te probeer bespreek met die mayor en met die deputy mayor en dan die members van die council ook. Maar ons gaan ook bietjie half met vraagstukke wat in die lichaam hier uit. En ons het te veel antwoorde nie. Soos dit is die rechte blokkeer bietjie. Maar ons gaan kyk na die short term solutions wat ons kan hê en dan die long term solutions wat ons nog kan hê. Dit is al wat ons nou op
Getting into our next video, Urban and Rural Development Minister Erastus Uthoni today officially inaugurated Extension 15 and Sky Phase 1 sewer reticulation projects in Ongwediva in the Oshana region. Although the application for sewer connection would cost 2,169 Namibian dollars and 68 cents VAT inclusive, Ongwediva Town Council has resolved to afford residents of the two extensions free sewer reconnection payment holidays until the 30th of November 2023 and 31 December 2023, respectively. Let's take a look.
Once again to now commission this pump station, a project that now deals with sewer reticulation in this extension 15. So I just want to say congratulations to you all, starting with the council, the community, for your patience that you have been going through these challenges for many years. But today, we are celebrating. It's now my honor to officially inaugurate. Thank you.
Now, volunteer teachers were kicked out of their own schools. We get into the full details of the story as we get into the newspaper review segment after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. Now let's take a look at the lead stories in Namibia's daily newspapers. The Namibian Sun's front page reports that two graduate teachers who, along with the community, set up a makeshift school in a Kavango West village were left fuming after the government took over the school and replaced them with new teachers. After getting the school recognized by the government and spending their resources to educate close to 100 learners over the past 6 months, Thomas Simbundu and Anafrida Kandanga from Karanawa village were not considered when teaching posts at the school were advertised. Karanawa is about 4 kilometers west of Nkurenkuru. On page 3, Elizabeth Joseph, whose left arm and left leg were amputated after a snake bite, has refuted rumours that she was sleeping with a married man. After Namibian Sun reported Joseph's story last month, villagers said she had an affair with a married man and that the man's wife sent a snake to strike her. Joseph, who this week told Namibian Sun she was not bitten by a snake not once but twice, admitted that she'd heard about the rumours but denied them, stating that she has never slept with someone else's husband. She was quoted as saying, "I don't know why people are saying such things, but only God knows why I'm going through this and what happened to me." Now, the mother of 4 said she suffers from debilitating pain while her remaining leg is swollen and bruised. Moving over, Republican informs that the National Assembly has come under fire as lawmakers express frustration over the hasty pushing and laws and legislative amendments through Parliament, as members of Parliament argue they have not been granted sufficient time to thoroughly review these documents, leading to concerns about the transparency and diligence of the legislative process. According to information gathered, MPs were told Namibia would be grey-listed if it fails to push these laws through. However, Bank of Namibia Governor Johannes Gavahab said Namibia is far from being blacklisted. On the paper's page 3, Namibia's sovereign wealth fund has grown to 385 million Namibian dollars from its initial capital injection of 270 million Namibian dollars deposited at its launch in May 2022. This marks a growth of 115 million Namibian dollars in the Vulture Fund's value in a little over a year. This is despite no further injections being made into the fund, the Bank of Namibia, which manages the fund on behalf of the government, said. Providing the update, Central Central Bank spokesperson Kathembire Themburuka said the strength of the United States dollar contributed to the fund's growth. The Sovereign Wealth Fund was launched with an initial balance of around 270 million Namibian dollars in May 2022. There have been no subsequent injections into the fund. On its front page, the Allgemeine Zeitung reports that to advance possible exploratory drilling for uranium in the Stampriet aquifer, Russian company Hitsprings Investments has inaugurated an office in Leonardville. The governor of Omaheke called on all stakeholders to engage in talks. To this end, Omaheke Region Governor Pijung Ganate yesterday called on commercial farmers who are for and against the currently planned uranium mining in Leonardville to sit down and have reasonable talks instead of fighting each other. Moving over to the paper's page 2, the members of the Namibian Building Worker Pension Fund will be able to choose higher contribution rates in the future to improve their workers' retirement savings. The fund is launching a campaign to raise awareness of the new options. To this end, the NBWPF has obtained a rule adjustment from the Namibian Financial Institutions Supervisory Authority. According to NBWPF, the change has been in effect since October 2022, but few contributors are aware of the new options. We get into the second half of our newspaper review segment after the break, starting with the Namibian newspaper.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk. Jou is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt.
Let's get into the second half of our newspaper review segment. The Namibian newspaper reports that SWAPO Secretary General Sophia Shaningwa has backed the private members' bill tabled by former Youth Minister Jerry Ekanjo seeking to change sections of the Immigration Control Act and the Marriage Act of 1961. Ekanjo's bill seeks to explicitly define the term spouse, invoking Articles 81 and 4 of the Namibian Constitution to contradict a decision of the Supreme Court of Namibia on same-sex marriage. He also seeks to amend the Marriage Act to define the terms of marriage, same-sex marriage and spouse, to prohibit same-sex marriage, the solemnization of same-sex marriage and the recognition of same-sex marriage. I would like to thank Ekanjo for bringing the private members' bill into this House. Ekanjo has spoken on behalf of the Namibian people, Shaningwa was quoted as saying in Parliament yesterday. On page 3, Cabinet yesterday directed multiple ministries to address the ongoing water situation at Tsumeb, almost 7 months after the town reported a high concentration of microbiological organisms in the water. Since December, Tsumeb has been dealing with microbiological contamination in its potable water, raising concerns about the health and well-being of its residents. In response to this critical issue, Cabinet has directed multiple ministries to collaborate in addressing the situation. Led by the Agriculture Minister, Cabinet approved a plan to closely monitor sampling points until the water quality stabilizes. The Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform and the Ministry of Health and Social Services have also been instructed to work together in monitoring and addressing waterborne diseases in the town. On to the New Era's front page, legislator Hidipo Hamata wants commercial banks removed from the government's housing scheme, which subsidizes houses by up to 2/3 of a set maximum purchase price. The Popular Democratic Movement lawmaker ventilated his position in the National Assembly on Wednesday while putting questions to Prime Minister Sara Kugengelwa-Amadila. Hamata queried the sustainability of the government's current housing subsidy, which has been under review for the past few years as part of efforts to tighten the noose on unnecessary public expenditure. The Premier is expected to respond next Thursday. Through his line of questioning, Hamata painted a disturbing picture. On page 3, the Standing Committee on has criticized Kennedy Kandume, the acting CEO of the Namibia Students Financial Assistance Fund, for his inability to provide satisfactory answers to their questions and produce a complete loan book as requested. Kandume and other managers appeared before the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Public Accounts yesterday. However, Kandume failed to account for 77 million Namibian dollars, and the committee expressed their concerns about his evasiveness. During the meeting, Kandume reported that that 300 million Namibian dollars had been paid out as student loans and grants between 2003 and 2013, and approximately 220 million Namibian dollars had been recovered. He admitted the remaining 77 million Namibian dollars still cannot be accounted for. Additionally, the fund has no records of how 1.7 billion Namibian dollars in student loans and grants were spent. Kandume explained the lack of a proper data capture system contributed to the fund's inability to account for the millions. Moving over, Market Watch reports that South Africa remains a key import market for Namibia, accounting for 38% of the total import bill between January and May 2023. South Africa's dominant trade position with Namibia implies that we are vulnerable to cost pressures emanating from load shedding, droughts, weak rand exchange rate, looting by protesters, and any other cost pressures in South Africa, Simona Storm said. According to the Namibia Statistics Agency, Namibia's imports bill averaged 10.6 billion Namibian dollars in the first 5 months of 2023. In May, the value of imports stood at 12.1 billion Namibian dollars compared to 8.9 billion Namibian dollars and 11.6 billion Namibian dollars in April 2023 and May 2022, respectively. Now, Recon Africa is confident of future drilling. We get into the full details of the story in economic news after the break.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
In our economic news this afternoon, Recon Africa, the Canadian company drilling for oil in northeastern Namibia, has squashed unsubstantiated rumours surrounding its exploration activities. The unconfirmed gossip includes speculation that drilling has ended unsuccessfully and that the company is packing up local operations given the absence of foreign workers at drilling sites. However, the international company currently looking for commercial oil quantities in the Kavango Basin clarified that it is currently interpreting available data obtained from completed exploratory drilling to determine where to drill next. The company's field operational activities are scheduled to recommence once it starts its next drilling campaign. Now let's take a look at the economic indicators. $24 Namibian dollars and 37 cents buys you 1 British pound, while 2 Namibian dollars and 64 cents buys you 1 Chinese yuan. Most stocks maintained their price, while Letego Holdings took a dip of 2.50%. Local index closed on a dip of 0.06%, while overall index closed still on a dip of 2.38%. All commodities are up, with gold and copper up by 0.29% and 0.34% respectively. Now, presidential aspirant Busha says Mnangagwa disregards the constitution and does not deserve another term. More in African news when we return after the break.
Namibians are still safe.
Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments.
By all means, we try to not make journalists public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Tebo Njebela, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she's saying, is another thing.
We now expand beyond Namibia's borders to give you the latest news from the African continent here on NMH at 1, and later we'll bring you international news from the rest of the globe. Free Zim Congress presidential candidate Joseph Makamba Busha says President Emmerson Mnangagwa has failed to respect the constitution and should not get another 5-year term to govern Zimbabwe. Busha was launching his party's campaign manifesto and introducing a few candidates who successfully filed for parliamentary posts in the upcoming plebiscite. He told journalists once in power his ambition is to make sure Zimbabweans redo the constitution. The presidential aspirant argued that the constitution must be changed because of its interference by the president in the governance of rural folks chiefs. He was quoted as saying, "I believe that the constitution must be changed because it allows the president to interfere with traditional leadership. Traditional leaders must be independent and freely represent the people." Busha said when ministers are part of parliament, they cannot be held accountable. That separation of responsibilities must be realized. He further said, as a nation, they are swimming in corruption and unemployment because ministers are not accountable. Ministers cannot be members of parliament because they are conflicted. This is why the ministers have failed to explain the $15 billion that went missing, he added. Stick around after the break, we get into our international news.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Let's get into our international news. Russian fighter jets have again flown dangerously close to several US MQ-9 Reaper drones operating over Syria, the second such incident of harassment in 24 hours, setting off flares and forcing Washington's unmanned aerial vehicles to take evasive maneuvers, the United States Air Force said. The protest from the US Air Forces came as the French military said that 2 of its fighter jets on patrol over the Iraq-Syria border area were forced to maneuver to control the risk of accident involving a Russian Sukhoi Su-35 warplane on Thursday. The Russian aircraft had engaged in non-professional interaction with 2 of France's Rafale planes deployed to the region as part of Operation Shamal, which seeks to contain the ISIS group in Iraq and Syria, the French military said. 2 separate incidents on Wednesday and Thursday involving Russian warplanes and US Reaper drones were captured on video, the US said. The events represent a new level of unprofessional and unsafe action by Russian air forces operating in Syria, the US military said. Stick around after the break, we get into our local sports stories.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the
15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune in to Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Starting off our local sports news, Namibia's senior national team coach Colin Benjamin is adamant that there is still more to play for in the COSAFA Cup competition after his side hosts Eswatini on Saturday. The Brave Warriors will go into Saturday night's COSAFA clash against Eswatini, desperately in need of 3 points to bolster their chances of advancing from the group stage. Now, although Flame Nangolo and Johnny Ehrman will be in action in the main fight, it is Usko versus Bulelo that gets the fans' tongues wagging. This clash over 10 rounds in the welterweight division will have the packed hall on its feet. The Richelieu Eagles won 96 runs for the loss of 4 in 20 overs yesterday, won their second T20 match by 73 runs versus Uganda. After the break, we get into our international sports news. Stay tuned.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Ireland manager Vera Pauw said she did not know the full extent of captain Katie McCabe's injury after the forward rolled her ankle in a friendly against France on Thursday, 2 weeks before their debut Women's World Cup campaign. Bayer Leverkusen have signed Switzerland midfielder Granit Xhaka from Arsenal on a 5-year deal, the Bundesliga club said on Thursday. Financial details were not disclosed, but British media reported the German club paid €25 million for the 30-year-old. South Africa on Saturday begins a countdown to their Rugby World Cup title defence in France with a team selection that has irritated Rugby Championship first-round rivals Australia. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1, and we'll get into the highlights from today's broadcast after this short break.
Namibians are still safe.
Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments.
By all means, we try to not make children as public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Tsumeb, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she's saying, is another thing.
If you're just joining us, you're still watching NMH at 1, and the highlights will come to you shortly. But first, here are a few events that you might want to add to your social calendar this weekend.
Hello NMH at 1 viewers, my name is Michael Kayunde. I'm back on your TV screens to give you guys a lowdown of the events that are taking place in and around the country this weekend. To start with, you can catch Chill Sessions, that's tonight at 1900 hours on Namibian Sun's Facebook page. That's the show where we get to take you in and around the country, showcasing you the trending music videos for the week. You may also catch a repeat of the show that is on Saturday, 7 o'clock in the morning on NTV channel 285 on DSTV. Moving along with other events you can catch this weekend, you can catch that as the first Friday winter show taking place tonight at the FNCC. It's from 1700 hours until 2200 hours. You can expect live music, street food, as well as many artsy activities. That's at FNCC tonight. Another event you can catch tonight if you happen to find yourself in the coast is check out, that is the crowning of Miss Teen Namibia taking place at the MTC Dome in Swakopmund. Tickets range from $400 to $1,000 via web tickets. That's Miss Teen Namibia crowning taking place today. Another event you can catch is the crowning of Miss Namibia that is taking place tomorrow, Saturday, also at the MTC Dome in Swakopmund. Tickets are available at web tickets from $400 to $1,000. They are available through web tickets. So that's the crowning of Miss Namibia. Saturday, tomorrow, it's going down. That's all we have prepared for you. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend and go out there and support these events. From me, Michael, until next time, it's bye-bye.
Let's get into the highlights from today's broadcast. Free Zim Congress presidential candidate Joseph Makamba Busha says President Emmerson Mnangagwa has failed to respect the constitution and should not get another 5-year term to govern Zimbabwe. Russian fighter jets have again flown dangerously close to several US MQ-9 Reaper drones operating over Syria, the second such incident of harassment in 24 hours, setting off flares and forcing Washington's unmanned aerial vehicles to take evasive maneuvers, the United States Air Force said. In sport, Namibia's senior national team coach Colin Benjamin is adamant that there's still more to play for in COSAFA Cup competition as the side hosts Eswatini on Saturday. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa and the world, ranging from current affairs, economic news, sports and international headlines. That's it from us in studio. We wish you a lovely weekend ahead.